Hi guys, I'm Bobby Casey with MMA UK, and today I'm joined with one of Bellator's top featherweight prospects, Adam Borics. Adam, how you doing, man?
Thanks, man. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing very well myself, thank you. And thank you for joining us just
No
two
problem.
weeks out from your fight as well. I know it must be a tricky part of the camp at the minute.
It's okay. I feel great. So
Yeah, of course, you're a professional.
yes,
Um,
sir.
of course, you're going to be taking on Jeremy Kennedy at Bellator 256 on April the 9th. Talk us through a bit about that fight. How do you see that fight playing out?
After my last fight, I was asking the Bellator like, "Hey, next time I would like to fight against a really tough guy," and I mentioned Jeremy Kennedy also, and a couple of more guys. So I'm happy for this matchup. I feel best shape in my life. And I'm just thankful for the Bellator I can fight again because during this time the pandemic is not easy.
Of course. So you mentioned that Jeremy's someone that you had sort of scouted yourself as someone that you wanted to fight. Is he someone that you had watched before Bellator, sort of when he was in PFL and the UFC?
I watched his last fight, and before, honestly, I didn't know him. So I just watched him and I saw his record, and I think it's just a good matchup for me, one step closer to the title.
Of course, and I know you're not someone that likes to look, too far ahead of the fight in front of you. But do you think a win over someone with the record like Jeremy Kennedy does put you in that mix for the title?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I believe that. He fought everywhere. He fought
Yeah,
in
he's
UFC,
he's he's been
PFL,
around.
Bellator. So, and he's a really good guy. So, yeah, I think it is.
That's also so. Jeremy's a sort of fighter. He likes to put quite a high pace on his opponents. Likes to try and walk them down quite a bit. What about your skill set? How do you think you're going to sort of adjust to that, or do you think you'll need to?
I think he never met like that good striker than me, like me. So, and I improved a lot,
Mm.
last year and this year also. I never stop training, so I just get better every day, and I just wanna show my skill set. I train with the best guys on the world. I train daily with the Sanford MMA. I cannot say like better team than the Sanford MMA. So I'm ready for whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Sanford MMA, so obviously that is a camp at the minute with a lot of incredible fighters in
Yes,
multiple
sir.
organizations. Lots of guys either going for belts or in the mix for a belt. What element of your game do you think has sort of flourished the most since being at Sanford?
Since I've been here in Florida, I think definitely my wrestling get so much better and wrestling defense because when I came here 3.5 years ago, I couldn't wrestling nothing. I was
I mean,
like,
you're in some good company for wrestlers with the likes of course, Michael Chandler, who
yeah,
himself
yeah,
is fighting for the belt
yeah,
soon.
and we have great coaches, Kami Barzini, Greg Jones,
Mm.
and I took my first class from Darian Caldwell, and he joined our team now, so I can train with him also. Logan Story I think he's the best wrestler in MMA, and I can learn from those guys a lot.
Yeah, and obviously training at the minute and getting ready for a fight isn't the easiest. Obviously, the world's still very much in the middle of a pandemic, but this is, I believe, your third fight sort of since the outbreak of COVID. Have you
Yes.
found that the process of training for a fight has sort of become more easy as you've done it more times?
I mean, this time was definitely easier because the last two fights was a little bit crazy. The gym was closed, and my mind was somewhere else because I didn't know when it's gonna be done, and I was like, maybe I stuck here in the US. I never can go back to Hungary, or what should I do? I was thinking about, okay, maybe I have to stay here in the US or go home, and so it wasn't easy, but this time, I just came back and I already know I'm gonna fight around this time, and I got the fight, so everything went well.
Oh, that's good to hear. And obviously, you mentioned Hungary there. I'd say it's pretty safe to say you're the biggest name in mixed martial arts to come out of Hungary, and
Yeah,
definitely the face of MMA in
yeah,
that
yeah, for
country.
sure, for sure.
As of April, I think by the time Bellator 256 comes around, it will have been 3 years since Hungary last had a Bellator card. Could you see yourself headlining a card in Budapest, perhaps?
Oh, definitely. That it would be my dream, fighting for the title over there or defend my title over there. Yeah, definitely. I would like to go there one more time, because when I fought there, people really didn't know me like now. But
Mm.
if I would fight now at Hungary and in Bellator, it would be stacked, man, the arena.
I mean, you definitely made a statement the last time you fought in
Yeah,
I believe, the co-main event in Budapest with
yeah,
a finish. So that was a fantastic way to
yeah,
start and definitely get a lot more homegrown fans there.
yeah, for sure.
I'd say so. Obviously, the featherweight division in Bellator at the minute is extremely strong. Obviously, the Featherweight Grand Prix, which you were a part of, is still continuing to go on. With the last three contenders, so I believe we've got AJ McKee. Obviously, we have Pitbull in there. We've also got
Sanchez.
Emmanuel Sanchez. Who personally would you see walking away from the belt, and who would you possibly like to face?
I think AJ McKee, and yeah, I I saw uh, myself against him, and it was my problem when I fought against Carver. I already focused against him, so I didn't focus on that fight. But it is what is it. So sooner or later we're gonna fight.
Yeah, you can't keep looking back. But so obviously, as a fan of the sport yourself, do you find yourself sort of watching any of the other sort of big organizations? And if so, are there any particular fighters that you like to keep track of?
It's crazy, long time ago when I started the martial arts, from Hungary, nobody fought in big organization. So my dream was like, at least I want to fight one time in the Bellator or UFC. And I am so far away now. So I did much more. So I feel good in a Bellator myself, but I want to be the best fighter in featherweight division.
And are there any sort of other featherweights in maybe some other organizations that you would like somewhere down the line in your career like to face? I know places like Cage Warriors in the UK, we've got big names like Paddy Pimblett has just been potentially signed to the UFC. I know there's a lot of great featherweights in one championship. Is there anyone particular you'd like to face?
Conor McGregor, because he's a money fight man.
Yeah, you get that red panty night. Yeah, that's a very popular answer, right? It doesn't
Yeah, but
surprise me
I
whatsoever.
don't have really like somebody who I really wanna fight. I just wanna fight and enjoy the process.
Of course. And you mentioned about starting martial arts. I believe you started after joining Muay Thai gym in
Yes.
Hungary. At what sort of point of training did you kind of start to think this could actually be a career? This could be something I do professionally?
After the first training, I felt, damn, this is love. This is what I wanna do. So I didn't focus on Muay Thai only 3 months. After that, I went to Kempo Karate. I found a amateur MMA club in Hungary, in my hometown, and I went to Greco-Roman wrestling. So I went everywhere. I just wanted to learn fight.
Yeah, just round out your game.
Yeah. So that was the way to the MMA.
That's great to hear, though. But so when you look back at your career, I know you've had some amazing wins. Obviously, I'd say some of your biggest wins beating former champion Pat Curran. That was a
Yes.
huge win. And of course, basically being the man to stop the hype. That was Aaron Pico. Is there a particular win that stands out to you as potentially your favorite win?
I mean, definitely my favorite was the Aaron Pico because fighting in the Madison Square Garden, that was huge. And also beat a former champ, it's a huge thing. But my first US fight was against Rosanaldo Silva. He was a Brazilian guy. I don't know, he had more than 35 fights, maybe. I think he was my toughest opponent, honestly. Yeah, he was really tough.
Well, of course, only being 27 years old, there's plenty of time left to make a lot more memorable fights. Yeah. So as a child, obviously, I know, as you said, you got into Muay Thai and then started training. Had you always had a sort of a passion for martial arts? Were you a fan of sort of martial arts cinema or TV or that sort of thing?
I don't know. When I was a kid, I grew up in a small village, and I always wanted to learn martial arts, but I didn't have opportunity because in that village, like 2,000 people lives, and nobody knows about martial arts over there. So when I went to high school, it's like 20 kilometers from my village. The city of name of the city is Eger, and I went there for my first Muay Thai class. So that's why I started a little bit later. So I started martial arts 16 or 17.
Yeah, which is generally most sort of professional fighters you'll find, especially in America, have been sort of wrestling since they were 4 years old, that sort of thing. But it definitely hasn't seemed to have hindered you, as you are 16-1, obviously going into your 18th pro bout. Just ask a question. So we mentioned briefly some of your training partners. I know one of them is obviously Michael Chandler, who is going to be fighting for the belt coming up in the UFC. How do you see that fight for him? Because Charles Oliveira, obviously currently on a very good streak himself, but Michael Chandler is obviously a former champion, your own organization.
And Michael Chandler is a powerhouse, man. He has so much power, and he's really strong in his mind, and he's incredible wrestling, and he can hit hard, man. I'm telling you, and he can fight. Most things is he can fight. So when he get to the cage, he go to fight, man.
He does. I mean, obviously, there was a lot of talk about his debut coming up against a pretty tough opponent in Dan Hooker, which he took incredibly well. I don't think many people saw him coming out and getting a knockout as quick as he did. But do you think his success in the UFC, obviously he is generally known as sort of a Bellator homegrown talent. Do you think his success there could even bring more eyes of, say, the more casual viewers to Bellator?
I don't know, man. I really like him, and he teach me a lot, and I really believe that he can be a champion in the UFC also. So he's a good guy. He's a good father. He's a good training partner. I am happy for him, man. He deserves it.
That's good to hear. Yeah, he comes across, especially on his social media, as a very good sort of family man kind of person.
Yeah. I know he's a good man.
That's great to hear. Just sort of one final thing. So obviously you'll be taking on Jeremy Kennedy. Do you have a prediction for the actual fight results-wise?
I mean, I'm gonna win this fight, and maybe it's a first round or 3 rounds war. I think, he's a tough guy. I can see it's going to be a war. I think so, yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. Well, I look forward to watching the fight at Bellator 256. Adam, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, man.
No problem. And good luck with the rest of your camp, sir.
Thanks, man. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too, buddy.